Hi everybody, happy Wednesday afternoon, and it is 2-ish and I'm live today, and I am going to show you 3 things. So one, I want to talk about the album retreat special, and then I'm going to show you a cool technique, and then I don't usually do it, but I'm going to show you the layout that I'm mailing out to my hostess group this month, because there's some techniques on there and I want to show you how I did them in case you want to recreate them yourself. So let's talk about this album retreat. If you go onto my website, which is conniesam.ctmh.com, on these 3 little dashed bars, you will see a drop-down list of promotions. Now, under the promotions, you can see the November album retreat. And we're going to click on that right now. And in this, it kind of talks about what it is. And basically, you pay for this album bundle, which is $250, which I know, it's a lot. But if you click on the album retreat bundle, it will show you can go through all of the pages that we will be making during this class. And the class is like a couple of days. It's very tiring to do it all at once live with them, but it's so rewarding because you come out of there with finished projects and a whole album of pages, and they're gorgeous. And they announced this year that it's Christmas themed, which makes it even more special. So the questions that I've been getting, first of all, let me explain. This used to be a consultant only kind of get together at headquarters in Utah, and it would all be a surprise. Okay, so it was all a surprise, and you would just sign up and you would show up and they would have everything cut and prepped and ready for you, and it came with an album, and so as you made it, you just popped it into your album. It was amazing. So that's really cool when they did it once a year, and it was a really special thing. Of course, not everybody can afford to go to Utah and pay for all of this. And, there's convention and other things they do that's expensive too. So, it was more like for maybe 80 to 100 people. So when COVID happened and everything went virtual, they made this album retreat virtual, and it was like their first big experiment, and it was so overwhelming, the number of people who wanted to do it, that they made a second album retreat. And now since COVID, really, they've been doing about 4 per year because they're so popular, and you end up with so much finished artwork and cool techniques. Each album retreat kind of focuses on a different technique. One would be maybe on stamping, one was watercolor, one colored pencils, one would be, just tearing techniques or distress. I mean, it just, each one is a little bit different. So you get an exclusive stamp set, which they don't show you a picture of. They like to have surprises, and you're going to love them. But if you look online at the pages, you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to get in your bundle, because you can see some acrylic stars on this page. There's some lines there. It's possible that'll be a stamp. That ho 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 might be a stamp. You just don't know until you get it. There's obviously a stencil, because there's several pages that have these little like stars. I don't know how well you can see that, but like those little stars around. Several pages have that, so I'm assuming that's a stencil. This might be part of a stencil or a stamp. Don't know, but it's all going to be worthwhile. Now, they quit giving the album away with the retreat because there's so many options of albums, and so what they did that before they opened it up to customers. So it's been a while, but basically what they did was they gave a credit to the consultant so that you could go in and buy the album, you know, to go with it of your choice. That way you could choose a color, you could choose a style, and so now that it's open to customers, it's $250. It's a lot of money. I know it's a lot of money. So what I've been doing for anyone who buys the album retreat is I have been giving you essentially my maker credit, because I know it's a lot of money and it's a big risk if you're not sure what you're getting, you know, and a lot of people don't like this unknown thing. Well, I'm not really sure everything I'm getting. Some people hate that. So I know it's risky for a lot of people. So I'm giving you, what I give you is $40 worth of free stuff in the catalog. And it can be anything you want. But there is a list here of extra supplies that are needed. And it looks like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But most of it is like this much of it is blocks, this much of it is tools. They do want you to have some watercolor pencils. They have a couple pages where they use the white gloss spray, but you don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to. A lot of inks, which you should look in your stash, because honestly, if they call for a ballerina ink, it's pink. If you may very well have a pink or a peach colored ink in your stash, that will work just fine. The only ones I think out of here that would be hard to duplicate in another brand, possibly Mist and Seabrook. You might just look in your stash. Don't buy stuff that you already have just to match. Just don't do that. So in my case, like here it calls for an alphabet stamp set. I do not want that alphabet stamp set. It is not my style. It's not what I want. I have a billion of them in my stash because I've been stamping for so long and scrapbooking for so long. I can use one that I have on hand already. I have stuff. I have things. I don't have to worry about it. And you can look at the pages and see where they use it. Like they might be stamping "'tis the" on that. Well, you can hand write it even. A very happy is stamped on this page. Here, you, the word "you" is stamped on this page. So you can kind of look at the pages and kind of look at your stamp sets and see what you have. You may very well have exactly what you need, or a stamp set that'll work just fine. It's very basic, the stamp set they call for. I wouldn't buy it special, but I am giving you a $40 credit to do that if you want to. Also, you have the option anytime someone places an order of $250, I get as a reward about 2 items at half off. Now, I do not need to buy 100 things at half price. So I just give that to my customers. Essentially, you're going to be paying, if you want to use those half off items, you sure can. So there's 2, so you get $40 in free stuff, which is my reward that I'm handing to you, and 2 items half price if you want them. I'm not forcing you to spend more money on top of that. It's just an option if you would like. And then, of course, you'll have to pay for shipping, because if I paid for it, it would put me in the hole, because I'm giving you my reward. I'm not making any money off of you buying this album retreat because I'm giving it to you. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to have fun. It is an amazing process. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you about that and explain that a little more because I've had 2 or 3 questions this week, and I just kind of felt like maybe I need to go through that because some people are thinking about joining in, which is amazing. It's amazing. Okay, so item number 2. I want to show you this stamp set today. And I love it so much that I used it for our Hostess Club layout. So, right, exactly, Heather. Heather wrote, use it for the album. That's exactly what that $40 credit or the half off was made for originally, was to use towards an album. But you don't have to if you have an album already or whatever. But that was originally what that credit was for. Now it can be for anything, but so this is called Simple Leaves. It's in the catalog, and it comes with as a stamp set that looks all black, right? It's all solid, so it doesn't look like much. But what's cool about these stamps is that when you stamp them in a color, they are completely the color that you stamp them in. So you can stamp them in reds and browns and oranges and yellows and greens and come out with all these different colors of leaves. Or you can stamp roll, like stamp it in yellow, roll it in orange or red, and you get that variation in color on a stamp. So the solid stamps, you know, appeal to me a lot. But here's the part that I think is the best. It comes with thin cuts, and each leaf has an outline shape like that to cut it out, and then it has an inside shape where you could cut that out in a different color and glue it onto your solid, or whatever you choose. Or just cut it out. So I wanted to show you a technique today, not using the stamps, but just using the dies. I'm kind of excited. I have a million leaf sets, okay? I'm a fall, winter person, right? So yes, I have leaf stamps like crazy, but I don't have leaf dies like crazy. And so the dies are what drew me to the set and what made me buy it, not necessarily the stamps alone. Although this is a nice selection of shapes, but what really made me get this is the dies. So I want to show you a technique. Now you could do something like this with normal inks, but I'm going to use the Distress Oxides, and I pulled out some kind of fall colors. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside for now. And I want to show you, I have a little water sprayer and a paper towel. Okay, so what I'm going to do, in the catalog they sell the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor paper, and it on one side you'll see it has a texture. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but there you can see it. And then the other side it's smooth, so you can pick which side. Technically the bumpy side is the proper side for watercolor paper, but you can use either side, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do, I've shown this technique before, but I'm going to show you again because it's just really cool. So I'm going to take my mustard yellow mustard seed has looked goopy and gross ever since I got it. I have no idea why, but a lot of people online on the Tim Holtz site complain about that color not coming out right. I should just buy a new one. Okay, so I'm using my water, and I'm going to spritz it onto that yellow, and you can see it makes it kind of puddle up. And then I'm going to take my watercolor paper, and I'm just going to dab it on to the paper in various places like this. I'm using my little mini all-purpose mat because it's such, this ink is messy. See if you get it on your, I'll probably never get that off of here ever again. I already have a stain up here from my distress ink. I should get out my real close to my heart all-purpose mat because it's bigger. But anyway, there we go. So we have the yellow. I have some yellow and I put that on there. Now I wiped the mat off. I'm going to go do the same thing with orange. So I'm just going to squish some ink on there and I'm going to spritz with water. Okay. Now technically I could dry it in between each color, but you don't have to. And what I'm getting, and you can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? I mean, when you think of fall leaves and fall colors, you can kind of see there's yellow, there's orange. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna wipe this one off. Sorry, I'm making a huge mess. You know I am really messy with stuff like this. I'm trying not to get it too much on my fingers is the situation I've got going here. Okay, and then I got candy apple red. Now candy apple red is a bright red. It's very bright. If you had a darker red, you could try it, or a purple would work really nice. Okay, so I take my sheet again and I'm gonna dab it into the red. Look how cool that looks. It's adding, now I don't want my primary color to necessarily be red, but I definitely want some red on there. And look how gorgeous that is. Isn't that pretty? It's looks like a hot mess, I know. You guys are like, ugh. But look how fast this is going. Now, the other fall color that I really like is brown or a purple. I'm gonna use my heat tool and just dry this just a little bit. You don't have to dry it in between, but if you do, the colors don't muddy up quite as much, especially when you start adding in like a brown. I mean, you don't want it to end up being like a big muddy brown mess, kind of like late leaves, right? Like in the, so I'm gonna do a little, this one is vintage photo. I don't have very many browns. I realized I have this and like walnut stain, I think, for fall. I don't know. So I'm just gonna kind of put some brown on there, and I want a little more water, so I'm just gonna keep adding this, and you can kind of see how that looks. All right, let me wipe this off, and then ta-da. So here's that. And then if you want your colors to mix a little more, you can wet it directly onto the page and it will make your colors bleed a little. Do you see that? So there's that. And then I just usually hit it with my heat tool. I should have added less water so you didn't have to watch me dry this for so long, right? But I really want to show you the very last part of this page. So what I'm basically doing here is I'm adding all the colors. Now, if I see how it's all muddied together a little bit now, if I wanted more blotchiness, I could dry this and then go back in with more red or orange or whatever to make that look, you know, brighter. Okay, so the last part of this, I want to use my gilt spray. You can see the color of that is just gorgeous. It's like a coppery gold. And instead of spraying it, I'm going to spatter it because I want actual drips and drops on it. So I'm just tapping it all over. It's pretty thin. And you can kind of see where I did that already because I have it on my all-purpose mat. This gilt spray and things like the gilt spray and the shimmer brush and that kind of thing, they're very permanent, so be careful. Anyway, so you can kind of see, let me see if you can see it on camera, if I can make that show the metallic look of that. It is amazing. I don't know how well it shows up, but it's really cool. It's very shimmery, and you can use your shimmer brush for the same purpose. I have like a little extra little piece of sticker backing. This is like from stickers, a sticker sheet, and I just saved the backing because you know how it's shiny, nothing sticks to it. So I can just pick up the shimmer and put it all over it too. So you don't have to have the gilt spray, you could just use a shimmer brush. This time of year, the gold shimmer brush is amazing because it's great for Christmas and it's great for fall. And so it's kind of nice to have that in your arsenal. All right, so there is my page. Now, let me move this out of the way. I'm gonna put this off to dry because I wanna show you, I made one earlier. And you can see, I put the color more all over, but now you can see that metallic. Do you see how cool that looks? It sparkles, it shines, it's very cool. And what I did was I ran that through my die cut machine and I made some leaves. And then I also made some of the like stem pieces this is from the sheet that I made, plus I did one from honey butter as well. Honey butter. And so to me, this is just, these are gorgeous. Imagine those on a page, and they're very shimmery. So here's what I did with them. See, messed up my sheet there. Okay, you're gonna see that like every week now. Okay, so here's the card that I made, and I just attached those leaves to a card with the stems, and then this is from the stamp of the month. Autumn shows us how beautiful it is to let things go. And the stamp of the month this month has some really cool messages. You could add a little heart behind it. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with the stamp of the month, but I just thought that was pretty beautiful. I did the stamping on this in paprika, which is a really nice coordination. I could have used any of the colors that I used in there, an orange, a red, a brown, but the paprika really did it for me. And then I know we don't sell it anymore, but I backed it with a little bit of the gold foil, or I don't think we do. I think they took that out of the catalog, but I love the foils. They're so pretty on these. Look at that. Okay, so there's my technique I wanted to show you. Now I want to show you the spoiler. Okay, so before I do that, you know, earlier this week I used some of those cutouts to make these stamps or these cards also, and using the stamp the month and the thin cuts of the leaves. I just think those are gorgeous. Using the mocha glitter paper. I've got a thing right now for the mocha glitter paper, and on here using a little bit of the Stickles glitter glue, and here I use Stickles glitter glue to color in some of the images that take like 2 seconds, but it's really stunning on the card itself. It doesn't show up so much on camera very well, like it looks kind of spotty, like it actually looks like it's a color, but in real life it looks more just shimmery. Okay, so there's those I wanted to share with you. Okay, so ready for the spoiler? If you don't want to see the spoiler, I suggest you shut off now. Haha. So here is the page that I made for the club. There's the left side and there's the right side. And so I did a few techniques on here that I really wanted to show off. I think they're pretty cool, and that's why I'm going to show you how I did the background on this page. It's just one of those things that if you haven't seen it done, you may not realize how this was created. So here's the thing. I'm gonna get out my stamps. This stamp set is called Background Elements. I've shown you before. These kind of stamps, it's so easy to overlook them in the catalog because they don't look like anything. They don't look like anything spectacular, do they? They're just sort of bland. So I want to show you what I use them for. We're going to use this big one, this big long splotch, and I'm going to put it on my block. And then I'm going to use Scarlet and ink it up. Whenever I have a big splotch like this or a big solid type stamp, I do like to put the foam underneath the image where I'm stamping. You don't have to with this image, because if it didn't stamp perfect, it would be like, well, it looks like part of the whole image, right? It looks like you would do that on purpose. I'm just going to put that off to the side like this and pressure and lift. Ta-da! That's all for that. And then, so it looks kind of torn, weathered, distressed. It's kind of a cool look to that. Then I'm going to take this splotchy polka dot stamp. I'm going to use it. Okay. So up in the corner, I took mocha and I'm going to ink this up. And I know I'm up in this corner, I just want some of the dots to show. Now I could take a shimmer brush, which I did, and splatter it, but I want it to be bold, and so mocha is great. So I'm going to stamp it, and then I'm going to turn it and stamp it again. And what you end up getting is first and second generation of colors. I'm trying to move it around in the different lights. You can maybe see the color and not just black and white. Sometimes those lights are so bright when I get close that you can't see the actual color. So you can kind of see what I did there, and I could even do another little thing there, knowing that some of that's going to get covered up. That's sort of my plan. Okay, and then I also want some down in the bottom corner. I'm going to flip my page around, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp it again, maybe again, okay? And so that takes care of this corner and this corner. Right? Now the way I do these very assembly line style. So I get all, 30 pages or whatever that I'm making, and I just stamp, flip, new page, new page, new page. So I just do them very assembly line. You don't have to, obviously, you wouldn't be making a dozen or more or 30 pages all at once like I do. But you can see how cool that effect is on there. And then again, I used my gold shimmer pen, and I'm gonna squeeze a little bit out so you can see what that looks like. And then I want a little bit of gold in that corner. I want a little bit of gold in this corner. And let me just move this out of the way a little, and then show you a little close up so you can kind of see there's shimmer there. So that's really cool. Now on the second page, I used a different color. This is cinnamon, which is a color that was retired, but I had lots of it and I wanted to use it, and you could pick if you use the light or the dark, and I used the dark. And I really wanted to, you can stamp like we did. You could stamp some mocha in the corners. We're gonna be doing some leaves up here, and we're going to be doing a little something in this corner, so that's not a bad idea. The main thing is that you want to turn it so you don't get that like severe looking pattern of dots. Like if you just stamped it all in a row, you would get that shape of dots everywhere you stamped. So by turning it around, you get more of that variation. I know that makes sense to you. And then again, with the shimmer brush, I'm just gonna put a little gold. Some of this is gonna get covered up, so I wanna make sure it's kind of all over. I'm getting gold everywhere, you guys. All right. This is why I use that box, shipping box, most of the time, because then I don't have like shimmer pen and all this stuff all over the place. All right, let me clean up my mess a little, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, isn't that pretty? Aww. So the next thing I did, I'm just gonna bring in these pages here. I think you can see those pretty well. I'm gonna raise this up a little just so you can see the whole page a little bit better. I think that's better. Okay, so you can see I have the stamping, I have the gold in both corners. This one may be a little harder to see. I did not do it in this corner of this one, but I did down here. I knew I wanted my photos to be boom, 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 like a cross, and maybe even have the last one as like a journaling thing. And I knew that I did not want to put a big title on it because everybody does different things in the fall and will use this page differently. The other thing that I do a lot is I use the bulk papers, because then I have a lot of the same image. Now, I can see where if you're not like me, where you're making 100 things at once or whatever, you may not want to buy the bulk paper. But one of the things that is online right now There's the past bulk paper, and they're a little different. They are the same paper that is in the card workshop, front and back. But for example, for the gardening set, one side is that grass page. And so I bought an extra one of those because I do a lot of scenery style cards, and it's so nice to just cut that, have all that bulk paper that's all cards. And then a past pack had a kind of a starry blue background on it, and that's wonderful for when I use my Jetsons stamps or my star stamps or whatever. It's nice to just have a pattern paper that works for stuff like that. And look at this. This would work for anything. And the back is that paprika color plaid. It works for a lot of stuff. So I decided to use the bulk paper. I don't always, but I often do, just because I have to make so many. Otherwise I'd have to buy so many paper packs. The other thing that I do when I make these is I don't always have enough of the same color cardstock to do everybody's the same color. I really wanted to use the color of the year, which is melon, which is what I used on this one. And I don't like the light side with this paper. I decided to use the darker side of melon, and it's a really pretty color. It's like a super pale orange or a super dark peach. And then I pulled out peach, and the light side is way too pink, but the dark side, like I said, it's a different shade of that melon. And then some people will get paprika. That's papaya. No, it's paprika. I had to think about that. It's like, is it papaya? Is it paprika? And I used the light side, and look how similar in families those colors are, and they all look good with the kit. So it was like, all right, I have, some people will get different colors, right? Then I put, it looks like shimmer trim along the bottom, but this is actually the mocha glitter paper. Okay, ready, blinding. But you can see this mocha color is a really deep, rich glitter color, and it is gorgeous with these other colors, but I didn't want it to be so overwhelming. And some people are really weird about using glitter in their scrapbooks. They're like, no, 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 no. The nice thing about this glitter is it doesn't come off. Look how dirty my hands are from that distressing. So yeah, I don't have any glitter coming off. So I don't worry about the glitter paper coming off on my photos or whatever. So I just used strip at the bottom, and then I'm just moving this around a little bit, and then I had these extra strips when I cut this, so I thought, well, I will just use them on this page. And so what I did was I used this where I cut it about an inch in from the edge on each side. So there you go, just like that. And then this is just like a 2-inch piece, 2.5-inch piece at the top. So I have room for photos, and now I have room to decorate with all of the leaves and things. So what I did was I cut out a whole bunch of parts and pieces, and I just put them into piles so that when I assembled the pages, I had a pile for each thing. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to go through the pile. This Autumn Blessings is from the Stamp of the Month, and look how adorable that little acorn stamp is. I love it. It's great. So I like it down here. Like I said, I didn't want it to be like a big title. I want room for you to put your own title there. And then I cut some of the pieces with the little veins, that's the word I'm thinking of. And I used some of them without. I want the big leaves at the top, and then the small leaf here, and then I really love this purple, and I love this brown, and I just sort of have kind of laid them out in a way where they tuck. And these two little tiny leaves right here are from the stamp of the month, and I just stamped them in brown ink onto the papaya cardstock. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, I just kind of laid these out. I put some of them on foam tape, and then I have the, look at the little berries with the stem. Isn't that cool? Oh my gosh. Tuck that in. And then I just used a little piece of French vanilla, and this is melon shimmer trim. Open. Let's see if I can open it up. Okay, it was hung up on me. So the melon shimmer trim is really pretty, and you can see it does not match the melon exactly like in tone, but it's the same color. And I mean, you could really bling this up with this shimmer trim. But what I did instead was I put a little piece on the top of this little journaling piece, and then I cut off the excess of it. I didn't want it to be the full ½ inch, okay? And then, so when I put it on the page, I'm gonna put this excess at the bottom, like right there. All right, let me show you a page that's done and glued so that you can, so I can move it around a little bit. I like being able to show you the detail. Okay, so here's the top. You can see the splatter. I love the melon sequins. They're so pretty, and they go with a lot of stuff. And hi, Tanya. Stephanie told me she is not crazy about the melon color of the month or color of the year, and I'm like, I'm determined to sell her on it because it is, I've been using it on everything. It's so pretty. Look how gorgeous those sequins are. So there's sequins in here. They have some of the French vanilla. There's some really small, hard to see, clear hearts. You have to get that in just the right angle shading or whatever. But there's some little clear hearts. There's some really super sparkly ones, and then there's some more matte melon ones. And I love them all. They look so great. So I went ahead and I used the melon sequins on the page, kind of scattered. You can see them in different places. And then some of the leaves I popped up with just a little bit of foam tape. But even more fun is I took the goldenrod stickles and just kind of went over some of the leaves so that there was just even more glitter, because I mean, who doesn't love glitter, right? So there's that. Page 2, here's the corner. Oh, I went ahead and stamped that stamp of the month leaf again, and some melon, and then I did the stickles right here. These are stamp of the month stamps right here. So I just wanted to show you that, you know, just some of the stamp sets are not necessarily what first thing you would think of as a scrapbooking set, but look how wonderful this is. And then I, you know, used it also to make the cards, so lots of variety. And then the other thing about this is I thought you could, if you wanted to, you could use this to even doctor this up even more. You could add more to it. You could do whatever you wanted to this to change it up. You could even add, you know, pumpkins, you know, like a couple of little punch out pumpkins, or if you've got little stamped pumpkins, and make this a pumpkin patch layout. I mean, this is anything. Raking leaves, going somewhere in the fall, going to the pumpkin patch, going to the, I mean, going for a walk, just pictures of trees, whatever. This paper is gorgeous. So this paper, I just love it. So, and you can see how those texture stamps work. And that's why I really wanted to show you how I made that page. I hate to spoil it for you. I like surprises too, but I just really felt like this was a page that kind of has a lot of little detail that you maybe wouldn't have known where it came from. And if you wanted to duplicate it, I mean, just imagine if you did that on a page in baby blue and it was a baby's page or something. It would just look totally different. So cool. And initially I stamped this with these X's right here, and my daughter said something about it. She didn't like it, and so I ended up using this little bitty stamp in here, this one right here across the top, and then the leaves here across the bottom. Cool, cool, cool. My favorite stamp on the whole sheet is that one though. Love it. Okay, that is what I have today. I hope you love it. There's that card again if you want to see it. I just think it's gorgeous. And then, you know, I cut this out. I thought about putting it inside of it, but I kind of like the white popping through. And here's that page that we just made that's dry now, so you can imagine how neat the leaves will look when I cut those out. And for those of you who are buying the items for my fall layout class, just if you could just let me know that you're planning on doing it, even if you haven't bought them yet, and that way I can get your kit together, so when I mail the layout or whatever to you, I can include the extra pieces for our class, because I'm giving you some extra, because it wouldn't be right if I didn't. You'll love it. So all right, I hope that you like the layout. I'd love to hear your feedback. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Bye-bye.